Hi, friends. Hi, family. This is a quick training on how I replaced my income and live off of my real estate investments. If you want to do something similar, I know I can give you some guidance, but it's going to take some work. So just check it out real quick. I made a quick PowerPoint just to make this as easy to understand as you can. So if you don't know anything about real estate or finance, it might be a lot, but I wanted to share it with you anyways. All right, so let's get into it. So here's my PowerPoint. Play from slide. All right. So how I replaced my job fast and created a cash flow based retirement plan. I mean, we're technically retired because me and Yas and Sophia, my baby girl, we live off of the income that our properties produce, and we bring in more income than we have expenses. And that's all that means. All right. I'm still working, still doing deals, but technically, if I stopped today, I'd be good, right? If I kept the same expenses, of course. So here we go. So these were some of my goals when I got started in the business or as I started growing a family. Just wanted to be able to create income fast using a proven system or with a systematic approach where things are like laid out and there's not a lot of guessing. I really wanted to be financially self-sufficient so I didn't have to rely on a job or other means of making money and just have more control over my time. So I've bullet pointed some of my goals. So you guys can read over that. This is the biggest obstacle that I think a lot of people are realizing that they're having right now. And I just want to draw this out real quick. And I know this is an old chart from back in 2011, but it's still relevant. Like if people want to retire, and let's say they could retire off of 10 grand a month, and they believe that they're going to live 20 years in retirement, well, they would still need to have roughly a little over $3.4 million of savings to take a distribution of 10 grand. And guys, I don't know how old you are, but I talk to people on a daily basis. They don't even have like half a milli in their retirement plan. And so this is the problem that a lot of people are facing, where I'm about to give you the solution. And if you're coachable and you're okay with taking action, this could work for you. So this is the solution right now in 2020, well, in 2023, because we're in 2024, we brought in a little over $331,000 from our passive income real estate investments. So this came in. Now, after taxes and insurance and some management and stuff, we probably kept roughly 266, 270, somewhere around there. But for all transparency purposes, so this is the business model. I buy houses, businesses, and mobile home parks in rural areas where there's little to no competition. I do what we call lease options. So I lease the property and give the tenant an option to purchase it for a set price at a later date. And so I charge for that option, just like in the stock market. There are stock options. Well, in the real estate game, there are real estate options. All right. So if and when my qualified tenant buyer exercises their option that they paid for to purchase it, now they can get their own financing. And when that happens, I make a big old check, which is fine by me. But a lot of the times I'll just do in-house financing, and there's different words for this, like seller financing or contract for deed. But I basically hold the financing in-house, and my tenant buyers pay me passive income over time on what we call a seller financed note. And so what I'm doing is I'm leveraging what I call the Great Migration. If you haven't noticed, there are people from like San Francisco that were living in busy metropolitan areas like San Francisco, New York City, Washington, D.C. And after COVID and the cost of living going up, everyday Americans are just looking to be in more rural areas, right? They can work from their laptops and make money with the gig economy. And so you're seeing a huge migration of people into areas that have a better cost of living. All right. So I, for one, am taking advantage of it. And now you can too. So a lease option is simply you rent a property for a set period of time and then you give an option to buy it at a set or later date. In seller financing, guys, it's just like when you go, you can be the bank, right? So Instead of someone having to go to a Bank of America or a Wells Fargo, you decide that you're going to create the purchase price, you're going to create the terms, and you're going to sell or finance a piece of property to the end buyer. Cool. That's all it means. And I can teach you guys more about how to do the different forms of seller financing that are available. And when I first got started, I didn't have a lot of money. I don't have a college degree. I don't come from a rich family. So I started learning all about raising private capital, giving my private capital investors a great return that they wouldn't get otherwise, all fixed and secured by the underlying asset, which is the real estate. So they were passive partners. I'm under operations, and I'm the business mind making this whole thing happen, right? So I just want you guys to understand this. When you get a loan or when you get a mortgage, the way mortgages or deeds of trust, depending on your jurisdiction, right? The way they work is they're all front end loaded with interest, right? So a lot of Americans all know this, right? When you get a loan, you're paying nothing but interest to the banks month after month after month, um, until you get halfway into the loan or whatever. So I was like, how could I leverage what the banks do, but instead of the banks making the money, how could I just pocket all that cash? And that's exactly what I'm going to show you guys how to do now. So I love being the bank. And my wife laughs. I call it Bank of America, right? And I'll literally finance anyone because I figured out the steps that it takes and the processes and the systems to be the bank on any property. And I'm actually bringing this program to the Northern Virginia area as well. I just wanted to solidify how everything works in a low risk cash flow market like the properties that I'm about to show you. So here's a little cheap house. This is an example of what I do. This is a house in the country. I purchased this price at a really deep discount, and I'll show you guys how I find cheap houses. Didn't put any money into this, like $1,500 just to paint it. So I'm all in as far as a cash value. And I don't even think I used my own money. I used private money, but I was all in for a little over $33,000. I charged a little option, like a $3,000 option. So I received that money back from my tenant buyer. And then I sold this on a seller finance note for 69.9. So 69,900. Now, guys, that is the face value, right? I know this is a lot of information, but that is the face value of the note. Now, of the mortgage, like when you go and get a loan from a bank for, I don't know, $300,000 or $400,000 on a house, by the time you're done paying that house, you end up paying double or triple. So this is the face value of the mortgage that the tenant buyer is going to pay me, and it's great. It's just absolutely great. So I charge $725 in rent. So when it converts from a lease with an option to a mortgage, I typically charge right around the same. It's usually a little bit more because there's taxes and insurance factored into that. But I do this with a lot of ugly houses, and I've been able to create a massive cash flow that comes into my bank account, regardless of if I get out of bed or not. Okay, so not sexy houses, but there are people looking for home ownership in these areas. This property I actually got for free, a part of one of the mobile home parks that I bought, right? So the same thing, right? So the money comes in, I charged a little option, so I got a little bit money back, and then I sold this for $99.9 on a seller finance note. And I've just done this over and over and over and over again. And I love doing it. And so this, if you're working a full-time job, or maybe you're just looking for some side gig income, or maybe you just want to replace your wife's income, this is something that you could learn to do working with me. So these are a lot of the houses in my portfolio. I didn't even have time to put all of the houses in here. I just want to show you guys what's possible. Those who understand interest earn it, and those who don't give it away. So I was like, how could I step into the shoes of the bank and always make money? And so this is what I do. And I have figured out ways of doing it to where I have no negative repercussions. All right. So these are just some of my houses. little houses in rural areas. Now, this was an amazing deal. It's a mobile home on two large pieces of land. And I actually sold this to my tenant buyers because what they want to do is create like a homestead, right? They want chickens and cows and pigs and all that stuff. They want to live off of the land. So I was able to purchase the mobile home and the land for just $6,500 from an old country lady. God bless her heart. She just didn't need it anymore. And I ended up selling this to the tenant buyer for $150,000. So these seller financed notes are assets on my books, and I just collect the cash flow every single month. So here's some other houses. Now I do own mobile home parks, and I'm buying more, and I'm actually providing. So this is a mobile home park that I'm currently rehabbing, and I have some newer used homes that I'm bringing into the parks, and I'm allowing friends and family to buy the used mobile homes and earn cash flow off of the homes, right? So you could buy a cheap mobile home for 30 to 40 grand, and it'll make anywhere from $600 to $700 in passive income every single month. And there's some ways to double or triple the cash flow on that mobile home. And if we end up talking more, I'll get you some details. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to show this to you. This was in 2023. Now it's 2024. I'm buying as much as I can. And I'm also bringing this rent to own opportunity to the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. So if you want to partner with me in different ways, we could talk about it. But if you want to do this business model for yourself, this is my 4-phase plan. And you can actually learn how to do this, ask me questions, and I can give you some guidance on how to execute the same way that I am. So first, I need to help you lay a solid business and financial foundation. This is the essentials classes. I didn't create these classes. These are actual classes that I specifically used. They're sold from a third-party education company, but this is the essentials classes. I started learning how to raise the private capital by understanding how retirement plans work. I started understanding how to do the entity setups with tax and legal strategies day one and day two. Now, as I started buying all these cheap houses, I began to pay them down quickly because initially I used a large commercial loan to buy small portfolios of houses. And then I learned how to do some of the creative real estate deal structures that I'm showing you guys just in the very beginning in the phase one learning. So I really think everyone deserves to learn what I learned in phase one. But phase two is you're going to start understanding mortgages and how deeds of trust work. I want to help you to start understanding the contracts and how the closing process works and how to deal with tenants and rental agreements. In phase three, we're going to start drilling down on what lease options are and how to leverage them for this specific business model. We're going to show you how to start raising private capital, how seller financing and subject to purchases work, and then teaming up with tenants for bigger pockets. This is where you really get into the nitty gritty of what I just showed you with all of my little houses. And then phase four, as you're doing the lease option, right, and you're transitioning into doing the seller financing, this is why phase four is so, so important. There are multiple ways that you can hold the note or do seller financing, and we drill down on how to do that based off of the jurisdiction in the area that you're going to be doing your rent to own business in, okay? Because there's a lot of jurisdictions, there's a lot of different states, there's a lot of ways that you can do this model. Okay, so if you want to get started, we've got a lot of different ways that you can do this, but you'll just want to schedule some time with me. I'll walk you through, hey, maybe you want to be like, you want to do exactly what I'm doing and just copy the business model. I'll just have you take the classes and give you some guidance on how to do it. Maybe you want to be a lending partner of mine and just earn some strictly passive income with some lazy money that you have sitting around. And maybe you want to be a part or you want to buy some turnkey rentals that I'm doing in my mobile home parks. Regardless of what it is, get in contact with me and we'll talk more. Bye.